Substitute.
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Charlottesville, Mr. Toscano.
Point of order on the floor, substitute.
Well, we're not there yet. We're rejecting the committee.
I'm sorry, on the committee substitute.
Gentleman has floor.
First, parliamentary inquiry.
Gentleman still has floor.
Is it my understanding if we reject the committee substitute, then the floor substitute will be before us?
If someone is offered a floor substitute, that would be the next.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Gentleman has the floor.
I think simply in terms of procedure, I have to raise this point of order at this point because otherwise I may never get to it. And so the point of order has to do with the germaneness of the committee substitute. And the committee, if you look at the committee substitute and compare it to the original bill was drawn to 2.2-4311.3, and it has to do with procurement and the Public Procurement Act. And under the original bill, it instructed all state public bodies to include in every contract certain things. That has to do with procurement, and that was the purpose of the original bill. The substitute, the committee substitute, is drawn as a Section 1 bill, and it discusses the fact that it discusses a review and essentially a study which has to do very little with procurement. It really doesn't even mention procurement in the substitute. And its fundamental purpose is very different than the original bill. So it's fundamental different. The fundamental purpose is different. It talks about instructions to the Secretary of Trade, not to all contracts. Its subject matter is different, and its committee jurisdiction probably would be different if it had been introduced originally as a Section 1 bill. For those reasons, I request that the Speaker rule that the committee substitute is not germane to the bill.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Well, the committee substitute has not been adopted to the bill, and so I can't rule on it until it's a part of the bill.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Gentleman,
last year when I raised this issue after a substitute had been adopted, I was ruled out of order as saying it's already been passed and there's no other way to raise the issue.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
The committee substitute. Yeah.
If it'll please the gentleman, I'll say it's not germane. I agree with you.
Thank you.
The issue before us is the floor substitute.
Thank you.
Offered by the gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Hugo. Gentleman, the clerk will report it.
Floor amendment in nature of substitute offered to the introduced version by Delegate Hugo. That amendment that substitute has been distributed and is available online.
Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman Shaw.
I think now I have to go through the procedure appropriately, and that is that the floor substitute is before us, and for the same reasons that I just articulated, has nothing to do with whether it's or not it's a study. It really has to do with the very basic principle of germaneness, and that is the original bill and the substitute drawn to the same subject matter, the same fundamental purpose. Okay. I don't think it is, and therefore I do not think that the floor substitute is germane either.
Thank you. You and Mr. Hugo may want to come.
Thank you.
I'm going to rule that the floor amendment is germane because it goes to the same purpose of the original bill, and that is to determine working with this Virginia-Israeli Advisory Board. So the floor amendment is germane, and the question before us right now is the adoption of the floor amendment. As many as favor that motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The gentleman from Fairfax.